Thank you, everybody, for being here. Um, this is really exciting to stand here in front of so many talented and interesting people. I have a lot to cover today, so I will try to build it on top of the stuff that were already covered before. Um, I'm going to tell you how we integrated and started to implement AI into our testing workflows with automation in Wix. Um, I hope you'll enjoy it. So, my name is Asaf. I'm an infrastructure team lead from Wix, working at the Wix Mobile Guild, which is kind of divisions in Wix. I was a maintainer of the Detox open source testing framework for mobile end-to-end tests for over 3 years. Is there anyone familiar with this framework in the crowd? Yeah, I see some hands. It makes me really proud to see so many people. And I'm recently working on some new AI plugin for testing frameworks that is called Pilot, which I will introduce to you today. So a quick brief of what we are going to cover today. I will start by speaking about the traditional challenges that we are facing when testing apps and websites, and also the new challenges that are coming with the new era of AI. Also, we'll talk about agents, AI agents, and how you can integrate them into QA in general, and some of the problems that we are facing with when using AI in QA, and also things that are relevant in general to AI. And lastly, pilot and another surprise after that is called autopilot. So let's start with the traditional challenges. It was covered today, so and during the last year, so I guess that everybody is quite familiar with that. For example, writing tests can be very complicated when trying to locate the right selectors for your test, so it can be a real headache. After test fails, a lot of our work is not just understanding the root cause of the problem, is by just understanding the logs that describes the problem. And flakiness, we all know that slip shame in our test code. This is something that a lot of testing frameworks are trying to deal with in different deterministic ways. And also, on top of all that, maintenance. Things are changing in our code that we're testing, and not necessarily the behavior of the code, but just the test IDs and ARIA labels and things that we are relying on when writing our tests. So this is something that adds some maintenance overhead when running regression tests, and compatibility with different layouts. If any of you are testing mobile apps, you're already familiar with the Android and iOS differences that a lot of times affecting the way that we're writing the tests and making them compatible with different devices. Test code complexity. I've seen a lot of test suites that became more complex than the code that they are testing. So this is often also a challenge that we are facing. And you know, a lot of time tests are becoming like a second-class citizens in our workflows, especially when there are hard deadlines and pressure from the management. And this is very hard to deliver good tests that will provide good quality assurance for our products. And this is also things. So on top of all that, we live in a new chaotic era where everything becomes AI-driven. Not only the products that we develop, but even our workflows. It affects development and it affects testing. For example, we have a lot of new products that we're building that are heavily relying on AI, that it's very hard to test with the traditional tools that we have. LLMs are shipping code 10 times faster. I'm saying LLMs because this is not actually humans. When you're vibe coding, there's an LLM behind the scenes that writes all this code. And it adds a lot of risk because if no one owns the code and understands the complexity, only the LLM, so this is a code without any ownership sometimes, and it can add a lot of knowledge risks and quality risks. And even the traditional apps that doesn't use AI at all are now being developed with AI tools. So they are growing faster and faster, and this also adds a lot of complexities. So let's talk about AI in Wix, how it affects us. So Wix is shifting in the last year to AI in many of our products. The editor became more and more AI-driven. New platform for designers and creators that it called Wixel was released lately. A really cool product that has a lot of AI features. We have chat assistants everywhere for our site builders, but also for the users. It looks like a long list, but the list is 10 times longer than that. Let's talk about AI in development, how it affects our developers. So first, there are all the agentic IDEs that some of you are already familiar with. Can you raise hands if you use the Cursor or Windsurf or even GitHub Copilot? So yeah, it gets more and more popular, but I see that not a lot of people used it, so I will show some quick sneak peek about how it looks like in action. But there are more tools that are coming into our lives. For example, GitHub Copilot code reviews, where you can open a pull request and ask Copilot to review your pull request and to suggest changes. But also, there are new tools like GitHub Copilot Agent that opens pull requests based on tasks that you give them. So they have a reviewer and they have the developer, so they can work together. It doesn't works very well. I will show you something later, but here's just an example of Cursor. If any of you is not familiar with it yet, I highly recommend to try it. It's actually a fork of VS Code that has a chat panel where you can ask it to perform some tasks for you, and it changes the code and provides all the feedback while writing the code, running tests, running linter, and it shows you everything on the chat. It has a lot of issues, but it gets better and better with the time, and more developers are using it and writing their code using a lot of textual prompts. So this is a post from Reddit about the GitHub Copilot agent. It's someone that posted that his new hobby is to see how GitHub Copilot drives Microsoft employees crazy. So Microsoft started to push this new GitHub Copilot agent that opens PRs for you very recently. And it started to open pull requests to .NET framework, which is a very legacy framework that Microsoft has. And it doesn't look good at all. And the internet went crazy. And it was really funny to see all the comments that the Microsoft reviewers wrote to it. So, but I believe it will get better and better with the time, and this is just the beginning of what seems like the future or the present. Depends how you look at it. But this is AI in development, and I want to talk about AI in QA. So let's do that. There's a report that is published, I think, every year, and they published one in the beginning of this year that is called World Quality Report. So in this report, around 70% of the organization reported that they started to use Gen AI in their quality assurance, or have reported that they are building roadmaps to integrating this into their workflows. So let's talk about the AI products for QAs that are out there in the wild. So it was mentioned before, there is many products that started to implement auto-healing for tests, like Helenium. I recently found that this is quite a funny name, like a word game on Selenium. But not only that, there's a lot of products and tools that try to locate accessibility issues using LLMs and broken layouts by visual analysis of screenshots. Also, tools that turn production traffic and analytics into test cases or actually runnable tests. And there is like a new wave of operators, web agents that can perform full flow automation based on just a requirement, a goal, and high-level goal. A lot of big companies started to work on that, like OpenAI and Google. I will show you some video right after the slide, but before I'm showing that, I think I need to explain what is an AI agent. So I will provide some quick definition. AI agent is an AI-powered worker that can read some state and to plan and perform actions based on his planning and the observation, and to provide itself the feedback from the actions that he did, and to plan the next step as part of undefined workflow until it reaches his goal. So the AI agents wave is everywhere, like ChatGPT and Gemini are AI agents because they read your requirement, your message, and they can perform tasks like running a code, searching the web. Then they can read the result of the actions that they did and decide what to write you after it. So it's not like sending some input to some LLM and reading the output. It can perform multiple iterations until it finishes his task. So this is just one example. If you heard about Manos, it's like a personal assistant that can schedule meetings for you and send emails just by delegating tasks to it with chat. There's a lot of products that start to do that, or trying to do that. Some of them are completely broken, but some looks like they're getting there really fast. And autonomous vehicles are agents. They're reading the state, which is the road and the cars around them, and then they decide what will be the next action. And also vacuum cleaners, robot vacuum cleaners like iRobot and Roomba are also agents. So you're already familiar with the idea of agents, but just a term that needs to be defined. Let's talk about AI agents in automation. So very similar to any other agent, it reads the state. In this case, the state is the page, the screen, the mobile app, for example. It plans what it should do next on the mobile app on the page that it sees, and drive the client, which is clicking, scrolling, typing, etc. These are the actions of the agent, and then they do it iteratively until they reach the goal that they were invoked to. So let's talk about AI agents for automation that are already out there and can be used today. For example, there is the OpenAI operator, which costs, I think, $200 per month if you have the Pro plan, so you can already use it. It's like a browser inside your chat that you can delegate tasks to, and it scrapes the web. It performs actions on the browser for you. There are a lot more. I will show you some examples. This is the operator by OpenAI. So you can see that you delegate some textual tasks to the operator, and then it opens a browser and it shows you all the actions that it does on this browser until it reaches the goal that you delegated to the agent. You can ask it to book it. There's another project of Google that is called Mariner. I think they haven't released it yet. I'm not sure. Everything is changing every 2 days, so maybe they just released it. So yeah, a lot of companies are trying to be there, but this is really important to know that they are not there yet. Like, there is some benchmark that is called WebVoyar that tries to evaluate the quality of all those web agents, and only a few of them are cracking the 80%. Most of them are falling below the 30%. So there's still a long way until they will be reliable and something that you can run on your workflows and test your apps and webs and etc. So this is still an idea. But this is not the only problems of AI in automations. Like, agents are not reliable, but a lot of other tools that are using AI are not reliable because AI still has hallucinations. It's not like before, but it become more and more reliable with the time, which is even more scary because now we are not even validating it because we give it more trust with the time. False greens and reds, if you are using AI to validate something on your website, you have to validate it by yourself, like to review it, so it doesn't remove the human from the loop, and it even makes it more confusing because now AI provides the output and it might be misleading. Performance, LLMs are very slow, so you can't just delegate every automation action to LLM because every action might take almost half a minute. So this is also a problem when trying to integrate AI into testing tools. And debugging, how do we reproduce a flow that agent, for example, perform on our product? How do we debug it? So it's not that it's impossible, but this is also a challenge that is important to handle. I would like to introduce you some new AI tool that we worked on in weeks that is trying to solve all the traditional problems that I mentioned, and also the new challenges that the new AI era is bringing to our lives. So Detox Pilot actually started as a plugin for Wix Pilot started as a plugin for Detox. It was called Detox Copilot a few months ago. And then we decided to make it more framework agnostic. So now you can use it not just with Detox, but with any Node.js testing framework. It basically translates natural language commands into test code during runtime, instructed step by step. It's not an agent where you can just delegate it a full flow in one sentence. You have to define each step of the test very specifically and in a non-unambiguous way, so it will perform exactly what you asked him to. It can run hybridly with regular test code. It's a plugin, it's not a new tool, it's not replacing anything, it's just another API that you can add to your testing framework APIs, like we have with Detox. And it was designed for regression testing, not for general agentic automation. It was designed in order to be able to run on CI in an efficient way. So when you're generating the code for the first time, when running the test, it will create a cached code in your memory that the next time that the test will run, it will use exactly the same code without calling the LLM again. And it works seamlessly, as I said, with any testing framework. We've implemented drivers for Puppeteer, Playwright, Detox, Appium, and more to come. And it's an open source project, so you can try it after the talk if you would like to. Let's see some demo. So I just challenged it with some game that we all probably played when we were kids. It's called the Shape Metro game. And this is me playing with it. I failed, by the way. But then I delegated the pilot with some actions on this game. As you can see, it's a very specific actions and assertions. step by step, I ask it to verify that the game is started with score 0, and then I'm playing with some of the APIs of Detox just by asking it to drag one of the shapes with very small offset and see that nothing happens to the score, and then to try to drag the blue square. As you can see, it can understand colors and shapes and not just test IDs or ARIA labels. So it tries to visually analyze the screen, and based on that, to generate the correct code for what I'm asking. And then I asked him to nail 3 shapes into their holes. So you can see in runtime the code that it generated, and this will be cached into your GitHub repo as a code file. So those are JSON files that you can, after that, push into a repository, and they will run the same on CI. Let's talk about how it works. So I already explained it. A new instruction comes into pilot. It reads the history of the previous steps that it performed in the test. So it will have some context. And then it goes and collects the DOM, the view hierarchy of the app or the website that it runs on, and a snapshot of the page, and plans accordingly. If it already has cache, so it executes the code that was cached before. If not, it generates a new code using LLM and caches it and executes it. And that's it, basically. It's very, very simple idea. What it solves, we mentioned many problems that we're facing with traditional problems that it solves, and also it was designed in a mindset to handle all the challenges with using LLMs. So it finds the right selectors, and it is focused on performance. It's CI friendly, handles timing because it writes the code in a way that we instructed it to use the best practices of waiting for elements to appear and to handle the synchronization during our test flow. So it does that better than me, for example. Also, it has auto-healing. For example, if a test breaks because something changed under the hood in the code, you can run the test again and to override the cache with a new cache of test code without changing your test or to handle it manually. Let's talk about adoption in Wix. We started it as a mobile project, so already a lot of tests in the mobile grid were written using Pilot on both Detox and Appium. And we started to roll it out in the web. We made a few workshops to our developers and QAs. So we believe that it will be, with the time, integrated more and more to our testing framework. And the fact that you can use it hybridly with the regular test code helps, because it's not like a migration. You can do it very gradually, side to side with the regular code you have. I want to show you another thing before we finish. I promised some surprise. Pilot is not just a step-by-step testing tool. It also has an autopilot mode that tries to do exactly what I showed you before with the operators and the agents. You can provide it a high-level goal of the task that you want it to perform, and it will try to orchestrate Pilot under the hood to perform all those steps during runtime. Let's see some example. So I asked it to play the shape matching game until it reaches score 2 by using only the top row shapes. So it's more than one step because it needs to drag 2 elements and to validate the score after dragging those 2 elements. And it decides after every action, you can see its thoughts, how it sees the screen and analyzes it and decides what will be the next action that it will delegate the pilot. And that's it. It reaches score 2. It's already finished. Just reading the logs here. I have another example of autopilot. As mentioned, we started to use it for the web. And I think most of you are familiar with Wix as a website builder. We also have mobile apps builder in Wix, which is a web that can help you edit native mobile apps just by drag and drop. So I gave Pilot some user story that says, as a non-paying user, I want to see a subscription wall when trying to change the background color of my app using the editor, of course. And then it opens the editor because it knows its URL. I provided him the context before the test run. And now it needs to figure what will be the next step in order to try and change the background color of the app. So the next action it will do is to click on the design panel. And now you see that the viewport changes. It's because we're taking screenshots and we're taking a full page screenshot. So every time, every step that Pilot starts is, first thing it does is taking the full page screenshot. We also mark the meaningful elements on the screenshot in order to do some grounding for the LLM between the DOM and the screenshot that we are taking. And it helps a lot the LLM to understand what element on the screen that is rendered is on the DOM. So that's it. It reports me that he finished and achieved this goal. And he sees a subscription wall when trying to changing the background color. Pilot is an open source, so you can try it by yourself. If you have any issue, any question, you want to suggest any idea for Pilot, you can find us on GitHub, and you can reach out directly if you want. You also have like quick start docs that you can read with lots of best practices that we collected over the time. And I want to finish like with a short quote of Alan Turing, which is the father of theoretical computer science, I would say. We can only see a short distance ahead, but we can see that there is plenty that needs to be done. So this is how I see it. Thank you.
Really like the way how artistically you closed your presentation, so bonus points for that.
Thank you.
Let's switch to Slido, which maybe is not that artistic, more of the technical. How does OpenAI agent or agents in general bypass CAPTCHA?
Technically, they don't because it's illegal, and it gets more and more hard because there are new CAPTCHAs that are trying to tackle AI with new techniques, but legally you can bypass that by legal agreements with the companies. For example, OpenAI operator, I know that they are meeting a lot of big companies like TripAdvisor, and they disable the CAPTCHA for their operator. So this is a legal agreement, I think, mostly.
Should QA engineers be worried about getting replaced?
No. Well, I don't know. I wish that I had like a 2 years roadmap of all the changes in the world. Maybe AI will replace us all, but I don't think so. Like, I think that with AI, with the new technology, we will start to develop new solutions for problems that we haven't even thought before that we are going to solve. So AI will, I think, will add us more job. At least that's what happens now, I feel. So with more and more AI, there are more products, more innovations. If you're not in a company that does more innovation with AI and push the technology forward, so start to search for another job, maybe sooner than later. But I don't think so. I think our job will be more and more complicated, complex, and we will do more stuff, more products. But it will change for sure.
Can we say that AI generates more code, so testing is even more important? There's even more work.
Definitely yes. Definitely yes. At least for now, we can't rely on the code that AI generates, and it generates, like, even if it's the developer that pushes a pull request and not an agent that opens it, the developer uses some agent. And I don't think we're in a place where you can just rely on those code changes, and we know that it's not very reliable, so QA is even more important than before to control and manage this chaos. Like, I wouldn't say chaos, maybe it's too scary.
Another question, can it be detected for suspicious activity and blocked? For example, if it starts scraping info from Amazon.
Well, you're talking about sensitive data that agents can expose. I think agents should be used with a lot of awareness of the risks that can be exposed. For example, I wouldn't use DeepSeek to automate some of the flows that I'm doing, but I don't know, that's a good question. I wouldn't give it my credit card, for example. So at least not for now.
Neole is just curious. Do you train some models at Wix or just using the existing models? And why? Did you try to do the math on expenses to train some models?
So I know that Wix are training a lot of models. We have tons of products that uses in-house models. But actually for pilot, we are just using Sonnet. We tried GPT and Llama and Sonnet, and discovered that Sonnet is the best in writing test code for all the different frameworks that we are working with. So we haven't tried to train a model for this project. Also, I don't think it makes a lot of sense, because it's good to sit on the tail of the giants that trains code models that performs very well on all the benchmarks, and test code is code as everything else. So
I'm wondering, have you tried those specialized models, like those that are oriented to some specific task like coding?
Like what?
Like coding, programming exercises, programming tasks?
No.
Did you ever for once felt guilty for using AI in your daily basis? Sometimes I feel I cannot do not only one decision without it.
Well, I'm starting to feel like I'm a psychologist now. But it makes sense, right? Because we know though all those models are not yet better on everything. So giving the models all those tasks that we used to do by ourselves, it's like it might feel a bit like laziness, right? This is why you can feel a bit bad about it. But I think it's really good to start now using it and to understand the abilities of it and the limitations, because it gets better and better, and at one point we will have to use them. I think we have to use AI right now, like in everything, to start and think where we can integrate it, because for sure it's the future of almost everything in the world.
It's the present.
It's the present, yeah, exactly. So there are still stuff that are not using AI and they're usable, but tomorrow some other product will come with AI integrated, which will do the same thing but better. So I think it's a good time to start and use it everywhere, but to understand what are the limitations, what are the abilities, where it does better than me, where it's worth it, cost value, and what are the risks.
As you mentioned, being like a psychologist, I remembered, like there is one opinion that in the future, as agents probably will be doing all the work, we will be working as an HR to those, basically dealing with agents and solving conflicts between them?
As said, I'm not yet feeling that we are going to orchestrate a lot of agents that will do all the work for us, at least not for now. For now, I think that it adds more work for us, for the testers and the developers. But yeah, I can imagine that, you know? Because we saw some kind of agents that are trying to, I think there was some agent that Anthropic said that that said it will expose sensitive data of one of the employees after seeing some mail that said that he wants to replace him. So they're getting emotional. So it might be
recently
scary.
I heard that somebody asked agent to shut down and agent refused.
So I don't know. I haven't seen it with my eyes. So it sounds like you know, some PR for, I don't know.
Anecdotes.
Yeah, exactly. It's classic.
So it feels like this is it, and I noticed that I forgot to grab the gift for you, but it's definitely there.
Take it. I see it.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you.